Hi, Capricorn. This is your reading for the upcoming week, which is December 1st. Or when you hear it and it resonates, it won't be for all Capricorn, and it might be Capricorn, Sun, Moon, Rising. So here we go. When I was asking the guides what we were going to offer you today, I saw a cake. And as I'm looking at this cake, what I'm seeing is there are many layers, or several layers. There's at least 4. And each layer's got a different texture. So I don't know if you know much about baking. I don't. But I do know that they talk about the texture of the crumb, whether or not it's dense, whether or not it's light, airy, fluffy, whatever. What I'm seeing is that there are many different textures. Then what I'm noticing is that the frosting or the icing that you're using on the cake, or as you as the cake, it's not really firm enough to keep these layers nicely lined up. There's some that are kind of sliding. And as I'm asking the guides, what's the frosting and what's its relevance in the fact that it's slipping, what they said is that the layers represent different aspects of your emotions that might be coming up for you. And that the icing is your ability to contain them in a way where they all work together. Thank you. So as I proceed further with that, when I pulled the cards, the first card that I got was forgiveness. Then I accidentally pulled from the same pack. I was just talking to the guides, and then I got prayerfully right on top of that. So forgiveness, in this particular context, it's really talking about, can you look at life as a place where we're all learning and growing, and that it is a place where we are going to be making mistakes. We're all human. And that you can choose forgiveness. Now, this doesn't have to be big. This is what I'm getting, because it's a cake, right? Cake is something that is meant to be delicious. It's something that's a treat. It's kind of a standard, an old-fashioned standard for a dessert or for a treat. It's often used in celebrations. So what I'm getting within this context of forgiveness in relation to this cake and the layers of emotion is that you can lighten up on things. You can say, okay, you know what? Maybe this behavior in someone makes me uncomfortable, or I don't really like it, or I don't appreciate that comment. But can you, in the moment of receiving it, allow yourself to just name what the emotion is, and then immediately just let it be there. Don't try to fight it. But then you can choose to take a prayerful attitude. Prayerful attitude can mean many things. It can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. It can mean remembering. It can mean remembering that there is a divine presence in all of us, that there is a sacred essence, that there is a Holy Spirit, that there is God, that there is just a universal energy that unites us all, and that we're all here for whatever purpose we're here for, which goes back to forgiveness. So what it's really saying is, when you find yourself wanting to not forgive somebody for being who they are, for having that opinion, for having that attitude, for doing that action, as long as it's not something that is hurtful and damaging to you. And when I say hurtful, I don't mean, oh, that hurt my feelings. I mean, as long as it's not literally damaging to you, what they're saying is, take that prayerful attitude. Remember that there is a sacred energy uniting all of us, and to let go of whatever the stressors are that are going on for you around that issue. It might mean that you're going to do some work in understanding, but right now what they're saying is you can lighten up. You can lighten up, and the prayerfully card can be the thank you very much. By taking the prayerfully card in conjunction with the forgiveness card, that is what stabilizes your icing. Thank you. It's a very interesting Very interesting. It's what stabilizes your cakes, the layers of your cake, which represent your different emotions, the density, the lighter ones, where it gets all like they all work together. They're all part of this cake. They're all meant to be there. And they're meant to be contained in this beautiful icing, in this um, relationship to each other, this stable relationship to each other, so that no one is more important than the other. They all get to be there. Now, the other card that came up, which I really love because it supports this almost as like a counterbalance, is you get the pleasure card. I'm gonna read it because I think it's relevant, and I'm gonna come back to it because they're telling me something here. Pleasure is often considered to be frivolous. We've been taught both overtly and covertly that it will lead us to base desires away from God and goodness, that it will make us selfish and greedy, lazy and lustful. Have you ever noticed when you work with heartfelt pleasure how much more productive you are? That when pleasure reaches your heart in any kind of loving way, you're kinder in your loving, more generous, and more easily satisfied. Heartfelt pleasure can guide us to acts of kindness and gratitude, open us to greater depths of nourishing desires, compassion, and grace. Now, the reason I think this card is really important is kind of like the basis or the foundation of this is that it really goes to the prayerful and the forgiveness. When you're remembering that there is a sacred quality, when you are remembering that we are learning and growing, and that we're meant to be able to name our discomfort in order to be able to understand what's at the base of that discomfort. Why are we feeling that way? Why do we feel we have to criticize? Why are we experiencing displeasure in this moment? Why are we looking at somebody side-eye going, yeah, well, I'd never do that. Can we, in those moments, move into that higher energy of forgiveness and prayerfulness, remembering the sacred connection between all of us? Can we drop the judgment and the criticism in that moment, because that will lead to pleasure? And that when we allow ourselves to experience pleasure, that can also be the thing that will take us out of those grumpy moments. Whenever you have a moment where you're reacting that way, there is the possibility for you to kind of step back from that and say, this is the reaction. Now, I say that knowing full well that I too still go into states where certain things will trigger me and I will react rather than respond, because I'm a work in progress, like we all are. The thing is, the more that we are able to step back and look at that and take ownership of that thing, we are able to drop it. We are able to let it go. And whether we drop it and leave it behind us, or whether we drop it so that it's separate from us and we can look at it, that's the point. When we are experiencing pleasure, when we allow ourselves to let pleasure be something that is a part of our experience. Excuse me, a card just fell out. Okay, very good. Then we find it a lot more able to do that. When we're in pleasure, we can drop the stress around whatever those things are, because you know what? Whenever we have those moments where we're going, oh, well, I wouldn't do that, or blah, 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 or whatever the criticism or judgment or displeasure is in that moment, whenever we experience that, we are in a state of stress because it's not normal to our heart. It's not normal to our higher conscious mind. Doesn't mean to say we aren't still able to discern, that we shouldn't be discerning, that we shouldn't state our comments. But if it is something that is creating aggravation for you, where you feel like you need to criticize and not look at why you're criticizing or what's underneath it, that's when we are usually in that kind of resistant phase within us, and that's an energy we don't need. So I think you'll like this, Capricorn. The suggestion is lean into pleasure, the kind of pleasure, heartfelt pleasure, that generates that sense of open-heartedness, that generates that sense of ability to be present. Because when you're really in a state of good, heartfelt pleasure, there is a quality of being present and open and aware. Now, There's one more thing I think I need to say here, and I'm not sure what it is, so just give me a second as I pull the cards. So Capricorn, lean into pleasure. It's going to be really important for you. I just heard this. It's going to be really important for you over the next couple of weeks to really pay attention to your frosting. Use your forgiveness and your prayerful attitude, your acknowledgement of the sacred in whatever way you do, to be something that allows you to drop the anxiety and the stress and the agitation that can go with that kind of struggle, resistance. Choose instead the forgiveness, the prayerfulness, the pleasure, and realize that you get the trying versus doing card. That's the card that fell out. I don't happen to think that runs with this reading. Does it run with this reading? No, it doesn't. Okay, put it back in, just in case. It wants to come out another time. I love it. The card that flipped over for you was pain. Do you inadvertently punish yourself with pain? Do you think you're diligent, hardworking, productive, or loyal only if it hurts? So this is really talking again. Well, you get the two cards in the contemplation. Pleasure and pain. When are you in pain? And it goes along with that quality of resistance I was talking about. Use the idea of pleasure as something that is supportive of you. When you find yourself in any kind of emotional pain, which can be, excuse me, anxiety, stress, again, critical judgment of something, remember that you have the ability to deliberately look at pleasure as something that is positive. And also, hello, sweet thing, come on. The other thing that they want me to say is this. Do your best over the next few weeks while you're dealing with this stuff to make a list of the things that are stressing you. Make a list, whether or not it's people's attitudes, because sometimes that will be a theme that will come up, whether or not it's a repetitive thought that you're having, whether or not it's a series of things that must be done over the next couple of weeks. Do your very, very best to do it with an attitude of pleasure, because as you do it with an attitude of pleasure, that energy is going to kind of move you through and carry you through. The forgiveness, the prayerful quality, that's all there, but you're saying, here you go. Whenever it goes perfectly, the choose card goes perfectly with pain and pleasure. This is really important because what they're saying here is you get to choose which one you want to be in. Now, listen, we all know we're growing, so it doesn't happen automatically. This is something we're training ourselves to do, all of us, all the time, is to choose the emotion that is going to serve us best. Not denying the other ones, but when we find ourselves in one that are causing problems, stress, anxiety, disappointment, sadness, anger, once we name it, look at it. Can we embrace it? Can we hold it within forgiveness? Can we hold it in prayerfulness? Can we choose in that moment to lift it up and observe it from a different energy? Because that's kind of key in terms of how we grow. Now again, pleasure over pain. So this is again saying to you, please choose pleasure, not pain, in whatever way that shows up in your life. It's important for you right now, Capricorn, because you have many different layers of emotion that are all together. And that, of course, with the holiday season coming up, even if you're not celebrating, there is a lot of traffic on the roads. There are a lot of people out shopping. There are obligations. There are family disappointments. It's when a lot of stuff comes up about how we are emotionally and socially integrated and received. And so it can be a very stressful and a very disappointing time for a lot of people. So if you're around this, if you're experiencing this, please keep your frosting firm enough to hold all your layers together. Okay? Choose pleasure, forgiveness, name the offense, and then choose it's not worth it. Prayerful. And do as little that is stressful for you as possible. Lean into pleasure. Okay? I leave you with that, Capricorn. Take care.